Hi, welcome back. So now we're going to take a look at ecological pyramids. Now, you think about pyramids, you probably think about maybe the Great Pyramids, but we all have that shape in our head where you have a pointy top and you have a wide base, correct? So now that we've got that in mind, we're going to take that shape and we're going to use it to help convey the information of how energy and matter moves from one trophic level up to the next. So a couple that we have here, we have both energy pyramids, biomass pyramids, and pyramid numbers as well. And they show exactly that. Energy in one of them, biomass, the living mass or the living matter of the organisms at a certain trophic level, and then also pyramid of numbers, or just counting how many are in a population in a trophic level as well. Now, these are all made up of combine food webs into these pyramids. And so in this energy pyramid here, we're going to take a look at how energy moves throughout the food web from one trophic level to the next one. Producers to your primary consumers, your secondary consumers, and your tertiary consumers. Now, only 10% of energy moves on from one trophic level to the next. All right, only 10%. So that means 90% of it is then lost. It's lost as either both as heat and also the organism that had eaten something before that had energy in it, that food that it ate, it uses some of that energy itself to run its own life processes. But then again, it's also lost as heat. So 90% of it's used up or lost as heat, and then 10% of it then moves on to the next level. So if we see here, if we have 100% of the sun's energy going into, let's say, some grasses, then the grasshoppers, let's say, which would be our first level consumers that are going to be eating the grass, they only get 10% of the sun's energy. And then above them, let's say a bird eats the grasshopper, it's only getting 10% of what the grasshopper had to offer. So now we're down to 1% of the sun's energy. And then all the way up to the third level, it only gets 10% of the secondary. So let's say a snake ate the bird. And so the snake only gets 10% of the bird's energy, which means if we look back through all the numbers here, only 0.1% of the sun's energy that originally had started down in the plants. So not very much. So that kind of shows you that as we get smaller and smaller, the amount of energy towards the top, our pyramid gets smaller and smaller. So large amount of energy at the base, smaller and smaller and smaller as we move up. Now we also have the biomass pyramid, and since we have so much more energy at the bottom, which we saw in our last pyramid, then it can hold a lot more living matter in that first trophic level. And since not as much energy moves on, then we see that in the next trophic level, it gets smaller with the amount of biomass that it can sustain because not as much energy has made it up that way. And then we get even smaller as we go up higher and higher because, again, not as much energy is making its way up, so the amount of biomass or living organisms gets smaller and smaller in each trophic level. And then lastly, we have the pyramid of numbers. And in the pyramid of numbers, just like it all goes back to energy. We see that we have lots of grasses at the bottom. We have lots of rabbits there, but it's not as much in terms of the number of grasses. And then you have snakes, and then you have this one hawk here. Now, all of these, the numbers get smaller and smaller and smaller because, again, energy, not as much energy is making its way up. So you can't have as many of a population in those higher trophic levels because not as much energy is up there to sustain high numbers of a population in those trophic levels. All right, so that's our ecological pyramids. Quick rundown. I'll see you in class. We'll go from there.